The coach. In A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy finds a different way to spread terror by trying to return to the real world through the body of teenager Jesse. Schneider, known for his abusive and intimidating behavior, decides to punish Jesse and takes him for a late-night training session, but that strict routine quickly turns into a nightmare. While Schneider is in his office, the gym equipment starts moving on its own. Frightened, he tries to run, but a jump rope comes to life and wraps tightly around him. Trapped, Schneider is dragged into the shower where steam starts filling the room, making it suffocating and impossible to see. And then, Freddy attacks. Invisible, he's only revealed through the slashes, blades cutting Schneider in every direction, blood splattering across the shower walls. With no chance to fight back, Schneider is brutally killed. But that's just the beginning, because in the 2010 remake, Freddy showed an even darker and crueler side. Death in the cell. Years later, in the 2010 remake, the nightmare returns, darker than ever, with a furnace-like atmosphere and pure desperation. Jesse Braun suddenly finds himself in Freddy's favorite place, the boiler room. The air is thick, filled with smoke, metallic creaks, and the constant hiss of steam escaping from pipes. Jesse walks around trying to understand where he is until he hears Freddy's claws scraping against metal. Freddy steps out of the shadows, dragging his blades slowly, clearly enjoying the fear. Jesse tries to run, but every hallway brings him back to the same spot, like he's trapped in an endless maze. No tricks, no witty one-liners. Freddy goes straight for the kill. With one brutal move, he drives his clawed glove through Jesse's chest. The chalkboard. Even near the end, Freddy keeps finding new ways to torture his victims, turning even sound into a deadly weapon. Carlos, who has a hearing impairment, ends up falling right into Freddy's trap. The killer appears in front of him and, in a sadistic move, gives him back his hearing aid, but not the way it was before.
Yes!
Now, every tiny noise is amplified to an unbearable level. Carlos starts hearing even a pin drop like a thunderclap. Then Freddy takes it to the extreme. He appears with a chalkboard, grinning wickedly, and slowly drags his blades across it. For Carlos, the sound becomes torture. He screams, writhes, and the pressure in his head grows with every second. Sheila's fate. Some nightmares start out calm, until Freddy decides to mess with the very air you breathe. In the fourth movie, Alice and her friends become Freddy's new targets. Among them is Sheila, a shy, studious girl with asthma. Exhausted, Sheila falls asleep over her desk, not realizing she's slipping into a nightmare. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. The pencil slips from her hand, and the pages of her test start to melt before her eyes. Freddy approaches and, in a grotesque act, kisses her. But it's no ordinary kiss. He literally sucks the life out of her.
Water suck the face. No.
In the real world, her classmates watch in horror as Sheila suffers a sudden respiratory failure with no explanation. Inside the nightmare, Freddy steps back, satisfied, leaving behind only her lifeless, shriveled body, like an empty shell. But if you thought that was cruel, wait for our next topic, The Last Supper. Freddy has always had an appetite for suffering, and in the fifth film, he turns an elegant dinner into one of the franchise's most grotesque scenes. Freddy finds a new way to hunt his victims, through the dreams of Alice's unborn baby. One of them is Greta, who dreams of becoming a model, but in this nightmare, things quickly take a dark turn. The guests are frozen in place, and suddenly, the waiter is replaced by none other than Freddy himself. Greta is tied to her chair, unable to move. Freddy pries open her mouth and starts force-feeding her disgusting chunks of a doll's insides. She tries to resist, but he keeps shoving the food down her throat until her body grotesquely swells up, suffocating her. In the real world, Greta collapses during dinner, leaving everyone around her in shock. It's one of Freddy's most symbolic and disturbing kills, a twisted reflection of Greta's fear of losing control over her own image. The pizza of the damned. And if that dinner wasn't enough, Freddy once decided to try something different, a pizza made from the souls of his victims. In A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, Freddy turns even dinner time into a nightmare. During a bizarre dream sequence, he sits at a table ready to devour his favorite meal. But it's not just any pizza. Each slice is topped with tiny human faces, the trapped souls of his victims baked into the dough.
My favorite.
Freddy bites into it with delight, while the little faces scream and groan in agony with every chew. With a wicked grin, he lifts a slice and mocks his victims.
Rick, you little meatball. I love so.
The scene, besides being disgustingly memorable, is one of the most symbolic in the entire franchise. Paper cuts. Also in the fifth movie, we meet Mark, the comic book fan of the group, who ends up with one of the most creative and cruel deaths in the series. Inside the nightmare, he turns into his superhero alter ego, believing he can finally fight back against Freddy. For a moment, it even seems like he might win, but Freddy flips the script and turns him into a simple paper cutout.
Told ya! Comic books was bad for ya!
With no way to defend himself, Mark is sliced into shreds. Game over. In the sixth film, Freddy shows he can invade even video games. Here, he turns a simple game into an 8-bit torture session. Spencer is relaxing, watching TV, having no idea what's about to happen. Suddenly, the screen comes to life and grotesque arms reach out from the TV. Spencer is pulled inside, now trapped in a psychedelic video game world. On the other side, Freddy shows up holding a special controller, the iconic Power Glove modified with his blades.
Now I'm playing with power!
Inside the game, Spencer is controlled like a digital puppet, jumping, taking hits, and being thrown around. Meanwhile, in the real world, his body is violently tossed across the room, smashing into walls, furniture, and even the ceiling, as if controlled by an invisible hand. The game ends when Freddy pushes him toward a hole in the digital floor, and at the same moment, in the real world, Spencer crashes through the ground, falling to his death. Dan speeds to his end. Also in The Dream Child, Freddy takes his cruelty to the road, turning a motorcycle into a death machine. Dan is riding his bike, trying to escape after a call with Alice. But in the middle of the highway, something feels wrong. His body starts fusing with the motorcycle. Dan screams as the vehicle becomes part of him, a grotesque hybrid of flesh and metal. Freddy appears laughing as he controls the scene like the mastermind behind this twisted fusion.
This boy feels the need for speed!
The nightmare peaks when Dan loses control and crashes head-on into a truck. In the real world, his body is found mangled, the result of one of Freddy's most brutal methods yet, tearing through his flesh in one of the most graphic transformations in the entire series. Debbie gets crushed. Back in the fourth movie, Freddy turns a girl's fear into a literal nightmare. Debbie, who absolutely hates bugs, ends up becoming exactly what she fears the most. Let's just say, if you're afraid of cockroaches, this scene might be a little disturbing. Debbie is at the gym, lifting weights like it's just another normal day. Suddenly, a not-so-friendly training partner shows up. Her arms snap grotesquely, and from the fractures, cockroach legs start to emerge. The transformation continues until Debbie turns into a giant roach trapped inside a roach motel, one of those sticky traps for insects. Then Freddy, with a sadistic grin, grabs the box and crushes it mercilessly, leaving nothing but slime behind. Freddy versus the Wizard Master. In the third film, Dream Warriors, a few kids decide to fight back, but facing the King of Nightmares means playing on his turf. Will, who uses a wheelchair in the real world, finally gets his chance to fight like never before. In the dream, he transforms into a real Wizard Master, capable of casting spells and using powers against Freddy. For a moment, it looks like he might actually win. Freddy backs off, surprised, and Will thinks he has the upper hand. But as always, the Master of Nightmares flips the script, and in an instant, Freddy grabs the boy.
Sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
Before Will can react, Freddy impales him with his claws, driving them straight through his body. The Addict. Also in Dream Warriors, a girl tries to fight Freddy with bravery, but he decides to attack her where it hurts the most, her past. Taryn, a former drug addict, becomes a fierce warrior inside the dream, ready to take Freddy down. She charges at him full of courage, but Freddy, always cruel, goes straight for her weakness.
Let's get high.
He grabs her and injects her violently, causing a fatal overdose right there inside the nightmare. The big break. Also in the third movie, the Dream of Fame turns into a nightmare when Freddy turns a TV into a murder weapon and drops one of the most iconic lines in the entire franchise. Here we meet Jennifer, a girl who dreamed of becoming a TV star, but ended up with one of the most unforgettable deaths in the series. She's alone watching TV in a dark room when her eyes start to get heavy. Suddenly, the screen begins to warp, and without warning, robotic arms burst out of the TV and grab her by the shoulders, lifting her off the ground. Freddy's grotesque head emerges from the top of the TV, sarcastic and grinning. That's when he delivers his classic line. With one brutal motion, he slams her head into the screen, crushing it inside the TV. The burning death. In the fourth film, terror reaches even the beach. Freddy shows up under the sun and turns paradise into flames. What starts as a calm dream quickly becomes a nightmare. Out of nowhere, Freddy appears on the beach and begins chasing her. Kristen tries to run, but the sand beneath her feet starts shifting, and suddenly she's sucked into quicksand. When she opens her eyes again, she's already in Freddy's favorite place, the dark, boiling boiler room. The suffocating heat and the roar of the fire make it clear there's no escape. He overpowers her easily and, without mercy, grabs Kristen and throws her straight into the blazing furnace.
Now no one sleeps.
Joey's dream. Also in the Dream Master, Freddy uses desire as bait and turns a teenager's fantasy into a deadly trap. This time it's Joey, one of the survivors from Dream Warriors. He dreams of a beautiful model seducing him, but it's all just another one of Freddy's tricks. Suddenly the mattress starts to move, and from deep inside it, Freddy bursts out, tearing through the plastic and dragging Joey under the water. Unable to fight back, Joey drowns in his own nightmare. In the real world, his mother finds him dead, submerged in his own bed. Phillip's strings. Back again in the third movie, we get one of the most disturbing moments of the whole franchise. Freddy turns a boy's tendons into puppet strings and makes him walk to his death. Phillip, a patient at a psychiatric hospital, loves making puppets, until Freddy turns that passion into pure horror. Suddenly, Freddy appears as a grotesque marionette and, in full size, slices open Phillip's arms and legs, pulling his tendons out. Turned into a human puppet, Phillip is forced to walk through the hospital halls as Freddy controls him like a twisted puppeteer. At the end of the nightmare, Freddy gives the final command, and Phillip is thrown off the tower. The tribute. In New Nightmare, the franchise reinvents itself with a metatone, bringing Freddy back as a demonic entity that escapes into the real world. At one point, this entity attacks right in the middle of a hospital.
Can't stop it, you're scary.
Just like in the very first iconic kill of the series, Julie is lifted into the air and violently slammed into the walls, dragged around the room. It's a clear homage to the death of Tina in the original movie, which we'll get to soon. But spoiler, this one's even crueler because Julie is murdered by invisible forces right in front of little Dylan's terrified eyes. A legend dies. Again in Dream Warriors, Nancy Thompson returns, older and wiser, but learns that even heroes have an expiration date in hell. Now an adult, she joins a group of teens to face once again the monster that haunted her years ago. After so many battles, Nancy knows Freddy's tricks, but he still manages to surprise her. During the final showdown, when everyone believes the nightmare is over, Freddy appears in an unexpected form, that of her late father.
I love you so much.
In a moment of vulnerability, Nancy approaches him, thinking it's a final goodbye, but it's all a trap. Suddenly, Freddy reveals himself and stabs her mercilessly with his claws.
Die.
Even fatally wounded, Nancy refuses to give up. With her last strength, she grabs Freddy's own glove and impales him with it, pinning him down. That final act of courage gives the others a chance to defeat the monster. Nancy, the first survivor to ever face him, sacrifices herself to save a new generation. It was the death of a true legend, proving that with Freddy, no one is ever truly safe. And if even Nancy couldn't make it, just imagine what happened to Glenn in the first film. Glenn's bed. In the very first movie, the 1984 original, Johnny Depp plays Glenn, the boy who thought he could take a quick nap, until his bed literally swallowed him in a geyser of blood. Despite Nancy's warnings, Glenn dozes off, and that's his fatal mistake. Out of nowhere, Freddy's glove bursts out of the mattress and drags him underneath. The room goes silent for a few seconds. Then the horror begins. A massive fountain of blood erupts from the bed, splattering across the ceiling and flooding the entire room. It's one of the most iconic deaths in horror history, not just for its brutality, but for its unforgettable visual impact. And fun fact, it was Johnny Depp's first movie role ever. The end. Tina Gray. And that's where it all began. Tina Gray was Freddy's very first victim, and her death set the brutal tone for the entire franchise. While she dreams, Freddy attacks her savagely. In the real world, though, all Rod can see is an invisible force slashing her skin, open with deep cuts. She's thrown violently across the walls, dragged onto the ceiling, and tossed around like a rag doll as blood sprays everywhere. Finally, Tina falls back onto the bed, lifeless, leaving behind only silence and a horrifying trail of blood. So yeah, we've seen that Freddy Krueger can be defeated a few times, and right there on the screen is a video showing every time Freddy died in the movies. I'll see you there.